Hello, and welcome to another episode of Desh or Diaspora. The title for this episode is I Have a Dream Too, like Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream. History was made in America today, January 20th, 2021, as Joseph R. Biden became the 46th President of the United States and Kamala Harris Vice President. The first woman of color and the first person of Indian and Jamaican origin to hold the vice presidency of the US. That's poignant for more than one reason because this inauguration happened just 2 days after Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in America. And I am dedicating this episode to Dr. King with a prayer that one day in India, someone just like him will raise the cry for freedom and justice like Dr. King did in America. I have a dream too, like Dr. King had a dream. And my dream is not very different from his dream. So I take no credit for my thoughts because they mostly belong to a man who came all the way to India to learn nonviolence from Mahatma Gandhi. 73 years after our independence, we Indians are still not free from poverty, hate, and aggravated class, caste, and religious bloodletting. After 7 decades, the life of most of our people is still manacled by poverty and the chains of sectarian violence and discrimination. India may have built a modern economy, lifted a few million out of poverty, even become a space and nuclear power, but deprivation and despair remain due to the loot and rape of our beloved country by successive governments that keep us supposedly free citizens in bondage to desperation and hopelessness. India has not remained a democracy today. At this point in our history, the question, is India a fascist state, is pure rhetoric. India today has lost liberty of thought, of expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity that was promised in our Constitution on the 26th day of November 1949 for all Indians when the Constitution came into being. Today, many Indians find themselves in exile in their own land, in our own land, in a sense, on behalf of all persecuted Indians. I want to do something that Dr. King did. I want to cash a check, just like Martin Luther King claimed he would do when he marched in those well-known civil rights marches in various parts of America. When the architects of India's republic wrote the magnificent words of the Indian Constitution, they were signing a promissory note to which every Indian is the heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, Hindus and Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, everyone, both men as well as women, were guaranteed the unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it is obvious today, just as Dr. King pointed out in his iconic 1963 March on Washington, D.C., to urge America to make real the promises of democracy. India too has defaulted on her promissory note insofar as all her poor, hungry, and persecuted citizens are concerned. Instead of honoring her sacred obligation, India has given her people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But just like Dr. King, I too refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. I refuse to believe that the funds in the great vaults of opportunity of our nation are bankrupt. And so, just like Dr. King, I too come to cash this check, a check that will give every Indian upon demand the riches of true democracy and freedom and the security of justice. I too have a dream that one day our nation, like Martin Luther King longed for his country, that one day in Indian hearts from Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Dravid, Orissa, and Bengal, we Indians too will hold these truths to be self-evident and acknowledge that all men are created equal. I have a dream that Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, everyone will one day rise up and live out the true meaning of our nation's credo. Satyamev Jayate. Truth alone will triumph. And from the north, south, east, and west, we will all be able to sit down together one day at the table of brotherhood and solidarity. I have a dream that one day from the Nilgiris to the Vindhyas and the Himalayas, the Yamuna and Ganga, our people suffering in the heat of injustice, sweltering in the heat of hate and oppression, will see our land transformed into an oasis of freedom, harmony, and justice. I have a dream that Indians one day will live to see their children and grandchildren live in a nation where they will not be judged by their religion, caste, ethnicity, or the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream too, like Dr. King. I have a dream that one day in India's vicious sectarian society, where politicians with hands dipped in innocent blood rule today, one day in even the most divided parts of our land, we will live in harmony. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day our land will not be ruled by any religion, but only by the truth that sets men free. If India is to be a great nation, this must become true. And when this happens and when we allow freedom ring, then we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, when all of God's children, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, everyone will be able to join hands and sing in the words of America's famous old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Thank you for watching.